It all started on a rainy evening when Emma sat at the corner of a quiet cafe, nervously stirring her coffee. Her friends had dared her to go on a blind date they arranged online, insisting the guy was someone special. She thought it was all a joke, a prank to tease her about her hopeless luck in love. But when the door opened and a tall man in a tailored suit walked in, the whole place seemed to pause. He scanned the room until his eyes landed on her, and for a moment, Emma felt her heart skip. He wasn't just handsome. There was something commanding about his presence. Yet he smiled warmly, as if meeting an old friend instead of a stranger. "Emma?" he asked, his voice calm but deep enough to make her second-guess everything. She nodded, confused, wondering why a man who looked like he belonged on a magazine cover would be here for her. As the night went on, he listened to her stories, laughed at her awkward jokes, and never once checked his phone. It felt too good to be real. But when the waiter addressed him as Mr. King, whispers rippled through the cafe. People recognized him. The billionaire businessman everyone talked about was sitting across from her. Before Emma could process it, he stood, pulled a small box from his pocket, and slowly knelt down. Her heart pounded. Was this still a prank or something far beyond her wildest dreams? Emma froze, staring at the velvet box in his hand, unsure whether to laugh or run. Around them, the cafe had gone silent. The billionaire everyone admired, Liam King, was kneeling in front of her. The woman who'd walked there in sneakers and a second-hand dress, her thoughts tangled between disbelief and panic. This had to be some kind of setup. No one falls in love on a first date, especially not like this. Liam looked up at her, his expression unreadable, though his eyes carried something soft, something almost familiar. "I know this seems sudden," he said quietly, "but I need you to trust me." His words didn't sound rehearsed. They sounded real. That scared her even more. Emma swallowed hard, memories flashing through her mind, years of struggling to pay rent, balancing 2 jobs, and never once believing that fairy tales could touch her life. "Why me?" she finally whispered. Liam's jaw tightened slightly, and he gave a faint smile. "Because you remind me of someone I once lost," he replied, his voice barely above a murmur. The air thickened with silence again, and Emma's heart pounded. The name Liam King suddenly felt heavier, layered with secrets she couldn't begin to guess. She glanced around, searching for her friends, half expecting them to jump out laughing, but no one moved. Every pair of eyes was fixed on her, and the man still waiting on one knee. Somewhere deep down, she sensed that her life was about to change forever one way or another. He entered. Emma couldn't sleep that night. The image of Liam kneeling in front of her replayed over and over in her mind. Every time she tried to convince herself it was some kind of social experiment or hidden camera prank, she'd remember the way he'd looked at her like he meant every word. By morning, her phone was buzzing nonstop. Messages from her friends filled the screen. Emma, what did you do? You're all over the internet. She opened her social media and froze. Someone had recorded the scene at the cafe. The clip was already viral. Billionaire proposes to mystery girl on first date. Her photo was everywhere. Suddenly, her ordinary world collided with one she didn't understand. Strangers commented about her looks, her clothes, even her worth. It felt like her life had been snatched out of her hands overnight. Later that afternoon, Liam called. His tone was calm but carried urgency. "We need to talk. Please meet me." Against her better judgment, she went. They met at a quiet garden behind one of his hotels, far from the noise. He explained that he wasn't looking for publicity, that the proposal had a reason, something connected to his late fiancée, and a promise he couldn't keep. But Emma sensed there was more he wasn't saying. She noticed the tired look in his eyes, the way he avoided certain questions. Something about his past haunted him. And now, somehow, she was part of it. And deep down she feared this was only the beginning. The wind rustled through the garden as Emma stood across from Liam, her hands trembling slightly. The air between them felt heavy with questions she couldn't ask. He looked at her with that same calm intensity, but this time, there was something fragile beneath it, fear. "Emma," he said quietly, "you don't know how much danger you're in now." The words made her pulse quicken. "What are you talking about?" "Danger from who?" she asked, her voice unsteady. Liam hesitated, glancing around as if expecting someone to appear. "After the video went viral, some people started digging into my past. There are things they can't find out, things that could ruin more than just my name." His tone was sharp now, protective, almost pleading. Emma's confusion deepened. She had walked into what she thought was a fairy tale, but it was starting to feel like a trap. That evening, as she left the garden, a black car followed her through the narrow streets. Her heart raced as she took random turns, hoping it was just her imagination. When the car finally stopped near her building and a man stepped out, holding a folder with her photo on it, she froze in place. The next day, Liam showed up at her doorstep, pale and exhausted. "You need to come with me," he said, his voice low. "They know who you are now." Emma's heart pounded as she stared into his eyes, realizing that whatever this was, it had just reached a point of no return. Emma hesitated at the door, her pulse racing as Liam's words echoed in her ears. "They know who you are now." The seriousness in his voice left no room for doubt. Without another word, he grabbed her hand and guided her to a waiting car parked a few blocks away. The city lights blurred as they sped through the streets, silence stretching between them. Finally, she turned to him, her voice shaking. Liam, you owe me the truth. Who are they? He took a deep breath, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. They're people connected to my late fiancée's family. After she died, her company merged with mine, but not everyone agreed to that deal. Someone thinks you're part of their plan to expose what really happened. Emma's heart dropped. Expose what? She asked. But he didn't answer. Instead, his phone buzzed, and his expression darkened. Moments later, a loud bang shattered the night. The car swerved, tires screeching, and came to a halt near an abandoned construction site. Liam pulled Emma out, shielding her as glass rained down. We have to move now, he shouted. She stumbled behind him, trying to catch her breath. Confusion and fear crashing over her. Just as they reached safety, Emma noticed something sticking out of the shattered car door, a torn photograph of Liam and a woman who looked exactly like her. Her knees weakened. Liam? She whispered, her voice breaking. Who is she? He looked at her, torn between guilt and desperation. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Emma's breath caught as she stared at the photo. The resemblance was undeniable. The same eyes, the same quiet smile. That's my late fiancée Clara, Liam said softly, his voice trembling for the first time. She died in a car crash 2 years ago, or at least, that's what I was told. When I saw you that night at the cafe, it felt like seeing her again. Emma's head spun, struggling to piece together the truth. You thought I was her? She whispered. Liam shook his head. No, I thought you were sent by the people who took her from me. But then, you smiled, and everything changed. Before Emma could respond, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the empty site. Shadows moved closer, men, in dark suits, one holding a gun. Liam pushed Emma behind him. They want the files Clara left, he said quickly. They think you have them because she used your name before she disappeared. Emma's heart pounded as realization hit her. The connection wasn't coincidence. Clara had used her identity somehow. A figure stepped into the light, revealing an older man with cold eyes. You should have stayed out of this, Liam, he said. Clara isn't dead. She's been watching all along. Emma froze, disbelief washing over her. From behind the man, a woman stepped forward, live, breathing, and identical to her. Liam's knees nearly buckled. Clara, he whispered, thought the world seemed to stop. Emma stood face to face with the woman whose life had somehow become entangled with her own, realizing the truth was far stranger and far more dangerous than she'd ever imagined. For a long moment, none of them spoke. The night air felt heavy, charged with everything left unsaid. Clara stepped closer, her eyes fixed on Liam. I had to disappear, she said quietly. They were after me for the files, and I knew if I stayed, they'd come for you too. Her voice trembled as she turned toward Emma. I used your name to hide my trail. I never thought you'd get pulled into this. Emma's mind raced, trying to understand. The woman who looked just like her wasn't a ghost from the past. She was the reason all of this began. Liam's eyes softened, torn between shock and relief. You could have trusted me, he said, his voice breaking slightly. Clara looked away, tears glistening in her eyes. I thought I was protecting you. The men who had chased them were soon arrested after Liam handed over the evidence Clara had hidden. The truth came out about the corruption, the lies, and the price Clara had paid for it all. In the days that followed, Emma tried to go back to her quiet life, though she knew nothing would ever be the same. Before leaving town, Liam met her one last time. You changed everything, Emma, he said softly. You reminded me what it means to trust again. She smiled faintly, realizing that sometimes life's strangest turns bring people exactly where they're meant to be. As he walked away, the city lights flickered like stars, signaling that every ending, no matter how unexpected, begins a new story.